Chapter 4382. Zhu Wuxian's first reaction when he opened his eyes was to look towards the bedside. On discovering that there was no one on the bed, he abruptly stood up as he looked towards the direction of the voice. He saw a young lady standing by the study table. She was staring at the painting of a beauty that he had drawn earlier on the table. That cold and handsome face had a rare shade of red. Zhu Wuxian. Yiqing Luo wasn't flustered because she had knocked the inkstone over. She slowly raised her head as she met Zhu Wuxian's face. "These are all drawn by you?" Zhu Wuxian stood up as he walked towards Yiqing Luo. Finally, he stopped opposite Yiqing Luo. He lowered his eyes as he looked at the sleeping painting of a beauty on the table. He stretched out his hand, as though he wanted to caress that beauty's sleeping face. But the ink which had yet to dry made him retract his hand. "Why did you draw me?" Yiqing Luo was so infuriated by Zhu Wuxian's action that she laughed. He had been caught by her secretly drawing her and he was still so calm. And even touched her in the painting right in front of her. This was a perverted man, right? Zhu Wuxian's gaze was still on the young lady in the painting. But the expression on his face was obviously not as cold and hard as before, and had become much gentler. His thin lips were frivolous as it rose into an arc, brimming with youth. "Because I like it, so I drew it." She had to admit it. Zhu Wuxian smiled. It really made one's heart flutter. But Yiqing Luo expressed that there wasn't any fluctuation in her heart. Her expression was gloomy and her long and narrow eyes were filled with a piercingly cold glint when she raised her eyes. "Your liking is really scary." Zhu Wuxian only laughed lightly as he didn't give any response. The gaze which he used to look at the young lady in the painting became even gentler. Yiqing Luo, this feeling was really weird. Her pink lips pursed as she stretched out her hand and pulled the painting on the table to one side. Zhu Wuxian's expression suddenly changed as he tried to snatch the painting back. Yiqing Luo took 2 steps back as she avoided Zhu Wuxian's outstretched hand. Her brows rose as she looked at him with a smile which didn't look like a smile. "I'm right here. What's the point of you staring at the painting?" Zhu Wuxian's vision finally shifted from the painting to Yiqing Luo. His dark eyes were very deep, rippling with emotions that ordinary people could not understand. "Put the painting down." His voice was very calm, and there was not much emotion in it. Yiqing Luo sneered. "Zhu Wuxian, don't you have anything to explain to me?" Zhu Wuxian's voice was very indifferent. "What's done is done. Even if I explain it, it won't change your opinion of me. What on earth do you want to do?" Yiqing Luo slammed the painting in her hands onto the table heavily. The ink, which had not yet dried, blurred that alluring sleeping face because of the wind. Zhu Wuxian looked at the painting, and the ink that had spread out. There seemed to be a storm surging in his eyes. But very quickly, he stopped. His thin lips moved slightly, and he lightly spat out a sentence. "I have to draw again." Zhu Wuxian. Yiqing Luo had a powerless feeling as though she had punched into cotton. No matter how she yelled at Zhu Wuxian, how she vented her anger, Zhu Wuxian ignored her. His attention wasn't placed on what she asked at all. Or perhaps, he totally didn't care about these words. Or perhaps, he had already thought of the consequences right from the start when he did this. So he was already mentally prepared. Zhu Wuxian took out that already destroyed painting from Yiqing Luo's palm. His actions were very careful. As though he was handling some kind of treasure. Until the painting paper was taken out. He then slowly held the painting paper in his palm. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. TXT download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4383. Yiqing Luo was unable to describe the strange scene in front of her. A person so cold that the air condensed into frost. He was actually holding a piece of paper that was already mottled with ink. He looked very pious. No matter how he looked at it, it was so strange that it made his hair stand on end. When he held the drawing paper in his hand, he raised his head and looked at Yiqing Luo. "After sleeping for 2 days, you should be hungry." I'll go prepare some food for you. With that, he held the drawing paper and was about to leave. Yiqing Luo quickly chased after him. I want to go out. After the meal, I'll walk around the residence with you. Zhu Wuxin nodded. Yiqing Luo replied, you know what I mean. Take a walk around the mansion? Did she have nothing better to do? Zhu Wuxin's gaze was indifferent. Don't even think about leaving this residence. Without my permission, you won't be able to leave. Yiqing Luo replied, how long do you want to keep me locked up for? When you accept me. Zhu Wuxin's tone was very indifferent. Impossible. Yiqing Luo replied without a second thought. Then stay here with me for the rest of your life. Zhu Wuxian's expression was indifferent as his deep eyes gazed at Yiqing Luo with a peculiar gentleness. To be able to stay with you like this for the rest of my life, I'm also willing. Are you crazy? Yiqing Luo's anger was unbearable. Imprisoning me here is because you like me? Zhu Wuxian's expression didn't change. Yiqing Luo, how do you know that you won't fall in love with me if you haven't tried? What do you think I am? Yiqing Luo laughed angrily. I'm a toy that can be controlled by others, right? Do I have to live my life according to what you think I am? What kind of life do you want to give me, and I have to live according to the life you give me? Yiqing Luo sneered. Zhu Wuxian, do you like me or do you like the me that you want to mold? Do you really like him? No matter what Yiqing Luo said or scolded. Zhu Wuxin's expression did not change in the slightest. He quietly listened to Yiqing Luo finish her words. Then, he said calmly, looks like you have a lot of strength. I don't think you need to eat. Coo, his stomach growled in response. This level of coordination made Yiqing Luo want to have a deep conversation with her stomach. Staring at her stomach, Zhu Wuxin slowly turned around and walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth, wanting to call out to Zhu Wuxian. But in the end, he still directly covered his growling stomach and angrily sat on the chair. Zhu Wuxin was completely unmoved. No matter what she said, she was unable to change Zhu Wuxin's mind. What exactly was she going to do to leave this damned place? She couldn't just sit and wait for death. Her sudden disappearance would definitely make Huangfu Sheng and the others anxious. Moreover, she had absolutely no idea where she was right now. There were still 4 days before the ranking list. She had to leave this place before the excellence list was activated. Yiqing Luo's heart was filled with anxiety. Zhu Wuxin had already quickly served a few light dishes to the table. Yiqing Luo took a look at the dishes and took a look at Zhu Wuxian, suppressing her stomach which was tempted by the fragrance. Surely this isn't poisoned again, right? You're in my hands, there's no need for me to hurt you. Zhu Wuxin's pupils flashed past a sliver of hurt, but the tone he used to reply her was extremely indifferent. Yiqing Luo pouted, now, you no longer have any credibility. Zhu Wuxian's pupils contracted slightly. The hand which was hammered by the side of his body also clenched tightly. The update speed is the fastest, hurry up and read it. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 4384. There was no credibility left. Oh, that's right. In Yiqing Luo's heart. What else could he have to be trusted? To Yiqing Luo's malicious words. He was just a disgusting person who was infatuated with her. However, it didn't matter. Start with making this decision. He had already thought of the current ending. Yiqing Luo no longer trusted him and did not treat him as a friend. None of that mattered anymore. In any case, she would be by his side. That was enough. Zhu Wuxian retracted the whirlpool in his eyes as he slowly and unhurriedly placed the dishes in front of Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo didn't even spare him a glance. He took an empty bowl from the side and started to eat by himself. As for the dishes that Zhu Wuxin had prepared, she didn't even look at them out of the corner of her eye. Zhu Wuxin did not show much emotion. He just sat there quietly, waiting for her to eat. Between the two of them, no one spoke first. The silent atmosphere made the surroundings seem extremely oppressive. Yiqing Luo deliberately ate slowly. Chu Wuxin was also very patient and did not rush him. Just like that, the meal lasted for at least an hour. Yiqing Luo then put down the chopsticks in her hands. Are you full? Zhu Wuxin asked. Yiqing Luo didn't bother about him as she slowly stood up and walked towards the door. Zhu Wuxin stood up and followed behind her. Where do you want to go? Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at him. Didn't I say that after the meal, we'll go out for a walk? Are you lying to me again? Zhu Wuxin's face paled slightly. No, if you want to go, go. I'll accompany you. No need. Yiqing Luo rejected without hesitation. I want to walk alone. Chu Wuxian's eyes sunk as he didn't reply Yiqing Luo's words, but his footsteps still followed behind her. Yiqing Luo took a few steps and suddenly stopped. She sneered, her eyes full of mockery. What? Are you still worried about me in your territory? Didn't you say that as long as you're unwilling, I won't be able to take even half a step out of this mansion? Since you're so confident, why are you following me closely? I'm not that, before he could say the word meaning. But he was interrupted by Yiqing Luo's mocking gaze. He retracted his gaze and felt bitter in his heart. That was right, now, he had completely lost the good impression in Yiqing Luo's heart. Even if he explained, how could she believe him? I don't care what you mean, in short, I don't want to see your face. Yiqing Luo spoke harshly and her words were filled with ridicule. Zhu Wuxin's heart felt like it had been stabbed several times. There was a tearing pain. His breathing was slightly ragged, but he tried his best to keep his voice steady. Okay. With that, he stopped in his tracks. Yiqing Luo didn't even cast a glance at him as she quickly walked towards the small path in front. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared around the corner. Zhu Wuxin stood quietly on the spot, motionless. His eyes were cold, and so was his expression. The hands hanging at the side of the body curled up one by one. It was as if he was suppressing some kind of emotion in his chest. After a long time, he closed his eyes and raised his head slightly. Obviously, everything she had done had already crossed his bottom line. But he still couldn't bear to kill her. He didn't want to let Yiqing Luo off so easily. Therefore, he could only leave Yiqing Luo by his side. Blame him? Hate him? No, it didn't matter, no matter how Yiqing Luo treated him. Nothing could change the fact that she was by his side. She now only had him. She would only stay by his side. Forever, forever. Latest updates are the fastest to read it. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4385. On the other side, Yiqing Luo, who had distanced herself from Zhu Wuxian, took a few steps and specially took a look behind her. She really didn't discover that Zhu Wuxian was following her. But she didn't know if it was an illusion. She felt an inexplicable chill down her spine. It seemed as though someone was muttering her name. Yiqing Luo rubbed her arms as she sensed the surroundings once again. After ascertaining that there wasn't anyone else's presence in the surroundings, she heaved a sigh of relief. The moment she woke up, the person she saw was Zhu Wuxian. She really didn't want to see Zhu Wuxian's face. To think that she trusted him so much. After he was wrong once, twice, she still chose to trust him. But how did Zhu Wuxian repay her? She thought that he kept saying that he liked her and then occasionally appeared to save her. She should forgive him repeatedly for everything? He wasn't Dmo Xian. On what basis did he need her to forgive him? Zhu Wuxian's actions this time was really completely and utterly killing the Zhu Wuxian who had once saved her in her heart. She absolutely could not stay in this place forever. Yiqing Luo perked up her spirits as she started to survey her surroundings, as she drew out the topographic map of the places that she had walked past in her mind. The path that she was walking on should be the direction of the residence's garden. Along the way, there were green trees and flower gardens, ponds and fake mountains. The scenery was extremely beautiful. She walked for a long time but she didn't see anyone. It was as though there was only her and Zhu Wu Xian in the entire residence. Two people. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as a strange brilliance flowed beneath her eyes. Was Zhu Wu Xian really so confident that she was unable to leave this residence? All of a sudden, she wanted to find out what method he had used to be so sure that she would not be able to walk out of the mansion. Yiqing Luo raised her head as her gaze looked towards the wall which was not too far away. She speedily surveyed her surroundings. Finally, she found an extremely good spot. A huge ancient tree was planted right next to the wall at the corner of the building. She agilely climbed onto the tree. Standing on a thick and sturdy tree branch, Yiqing Luo looked towards the other side of the wall. The scene in front of her shocked Yiqing Luo. Looking over, they were mountains, and rivers that were connected to each other. This mansion was located in the middle of these mountains and rivers. The most shocking thing was, beside the wall, there seemed to be a layer of ripples. She leaned against the branch and crawled forward, closer to the wall. On all sides of the wall, the rippling water could even reflect her face. Yiqing Luo, since when could water float in the air? Yiqing Luo was just about to reach out and touch it. His sleeve was stopped by a force. The force was very small, but it was enough to tug at her sleeve and pull her back. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and saw Qi Yan, who was biting her sleeve with its sharp beak, flapping its wings hard. Yiqing Luo withdrew her hand and hooked the little fellow in her arms. Where did you run off to? This fellow, relying on its small size and the fact that it could fly in the sky, ran happily, disappearing from time to time. Qi Yan let go of her sleeve and found a comfortable place in her arms. The whole bird collapsed on her. Fortunately, I hid in your sleeve and followed you quietly. Otherwise, you would have been executed on the spot by that man who looks cold on the outside but is a beast on the inside. Yiqing Luo, cold on the outside but a beast on the inside? Was it referring to Zhu Wu Xian? Isn't it him? Qi Yan fluttered as it climbed up again, its red eyes opened wide. While you were unconscious, he hugged and touched you. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4386. Indulging in her beauty. Hug. Touch. Zhu Wu Xian's character, he didn't seem like someone who would take advantage of others. Even if he had turned dark. But it wasn't to that extent. Right? Qi Yan's little face creased as all his phoenix feathers wrinkled up. I saw it with my own eyes. He was groping all over your body and grabbing your hand. There was one time when he stared at you and almost kissed you. If it wasn't for the fact that I set the room on fire at the critical moment, you would have betrayed the Overlord. Yiqing Luo. Based on her understanding of Zhu Wu Xian. Touching here and there, probably searching for anything on her body that would expose his information. Or perhaps he was researching the reason why her profound grade had disappeared. As for the hand that grabbed her, Yiqing Luo's eyes drooped as she looked at the things on her hand. There were quite a number of things on her hands that made people jealous. A profound phoenix ring, an azure dew ring. And the most important, azure dew bracelet. Zhu Wu Xian grabbed her hand. If he was researching on the profound phoenix ring or god relic, then it was still all right. If he had discovered the azure dew bracelet, then that would be troublesome. Yiqing Luo gently caressed it. The circle of flower petals pattern on her wrist, which looked like a birthmark, didn't look strange at all. Especially after losing the profound grade, the spiritual connection with the azure dew bracelet had been severed. This azure dew bracelet was really just like a very ordinary birthmark. Zhu Wu Xian shouldn't have discovered the azure dew bracelet. And the last one. To kiss her. Yiqing Luo remained silent. Thinking of Zhu Wu Xian's drawing of her all over the room, she was on the verge of turning dark. She felt that. Perhaps he was really addicted to her beauty, so he couldn't help himself. Yiqing Luo rubbed Qi Yan's little head. Yes, all thanks to you for protecting my chastity. I'll have to trouble you in the future to help me keep an eye on him. This little fellow loved to hear praises for it. Yiqing Luo naturally wouldn't be stingy with her praises. Qi Yan proudly tilted its little head. Yiqing Luo asked again, didn't he discover you when you set fire to the room? No. Qi Yan rolled its eyes, who am I? I'm one of the 4 holy beasts, the vermilion bird. What flowed in his body was the blood of a noble saint beast. How could he have discovered me? It's good that you didn't find him. If he had, Zhu Wuxin wouldn't have let Qi Yan wander around the mansion. After all, Zhu Wuxin would not allow any help that could allow her to escape from the mansion. Even if Scarlet Flame hasn't recovered his original strength. But it was also a helping hand for her. Yiqing Luo raised her head and looked at the front again, at the endless mountains and rivers. Can you walk out of this residence? I can't. Qi Yan answered decisively, there is a boundary outside this mansion. As soon as I get close, I will be discovered by the person who set up the boundary. It looked like Zhu Wuxin had made up his mind to keep her in the mansion. Yiqing Luo leaned back on the tree branch. Then how should we get out? Getting out. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult. Qi Yan flapped its wings. These 2 days when you were unconscious, I specially walked 1 round around this godforsaken place. The land area here is especially wide and there are numerous courtyards, as well as gardens and martial arts halls etc. At least. It's not any worse off than the imperial palace which I had seen previously. Moreover, other than the 2 of you, there are only 2 young ladies who look at most 12 or 13 years old, working as maids here. Such a huge mansion and there were only 2 maids. End of this chapter. Chapter 4387. Looking at the scenery, you want to interfere? Those 2 maids don't know how to speak, like puppets without souls. Qi Yan told Yiqing Luo everything that he had investigated these 2 days. Following that, he arrogantly raised his slender neck, waiting for Yiqing Luo's praise. His red eyes were filled with complacency. Yiqing Luo naturally cooperated as she rubbed the little fellow's head and smiled. You're indeed my little Qi Yan, so smart. She hugged the little fellow into her arms. Beautifully done, continue to work hard next time, I'm looking forward to your good news. Qi Yan smiled as his red beast eyes squinted as he snorted. Wait for this sacred beast to save you. This sacred beast will bring you along to fly. Remember to think of how to thank this sacred beast. Alright, she would praise him a little. The entire beast was floating. Just at this moment, Yiqing Luo's ears moved sensitively. Something was brushing past the grass. Yiqing Luo's heart tightened as she speedily pressed the little thing into her sleeves. Coincidentally, a cold voice rang in his ears. What are you doing up there? Zhu Wuxian rode on the wind as he stood under the tree, looking up at her. A blazing robe fluttered along with the wind. It looked extremely elegant. Yiqing Luo closed her eyes and didn't even move as she scoffed. Obviously, I'm looking at the scenery. Zhu Wuxian frowned. This ancient tree was connected to the surrounding wall. Yiqing Luo sat on the tree branch and could easily see through the wall to see what was happening outside. Was she trying to escape? Master Zhu, don't tell me. I'm just looking at the scenery, you want to interfere? The young lady's clear voice was mixed with some ridicule as it rang again. He blinked his eyes. The light returned back. He saw a young lady lying on top of that ancient tree. Her blazing red robe drooped down. When the breeze brushed past, her robe fluttered, like an excited flame. Her unbound black hair cascaded down, merging with the color of the raging flames. It made the young lady look like a fairy in the fire. When she said that, she specially glanced sideways. Her beautiful face exuded a suffocating charm. For a moment, Zhu Wuxian was stunned. Dong, there was a soft sound. The girl jumped down from the ancient tree. He stood in front of Zhu Wuxin. That sound also startled Zhu Wuxin back to his senses. Seeing that the girl was already in front of him, his eyes flashed a trace of imperceptible panic. Your profound rank hasn't recovered yet, jumping from such a high place. What if you get hurt? He reached out to hold the girl's arm. The girl walked past him and continued forward. She also avoided his outstretched hand. Zhu Wu Xian took a look at his hand, which was frozen in mid-air as his fingers clenched into a fist shape, retracting his hand as he followed closely behind Yi Qing Luo. He had only taken a few steps. Yi Qing Luo's footsteps suddenly halted. Her hand seemed to have been pricked by something, and she jerked back. What's the matter? Zhu Wu Xian saw Yi Qing Luo's actions and immediately went up to check on her condition. Yi Qing Luo lowered her head to look at her own hand and struggled free from his grasp. I'm fine. Your expression doesn't look like you're fine. Zhu Wu Xian insisted on not letting go. Stop fooling around, let me take a look. Yi Qing Luo pushed him away forcefully as her breathing became hurried. She took a few steps back. Her body leaned against that ancient tree earlier. I said I'm fine, don't come over. Zhu Wu Xian had no choice but to halt his footsteps as his vision fell onto her without blinking, his eyes filled with concern. All right, I won't go over. Update completed. Moi. Zhou Mo, come. Put up your sabers. I'm not afraid of your sabers. I, Mo Badian, have never been afraid of anyone. Mo family, hee, the sabers can't do anything to you? Sisters, confiscate our Badian tickets. Zhou Mo, I admit defeat. You're the real treasure Badian. Asking for tickets, don't stop, don't stop. End of this chapter. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4388. Yi Qing Luo leaned against the ancient tree. This time, she deeply felt. A scorching hot shiver came from her fingertips. It was the profound phoenix ring. The profound phoenix ring's activity. This also indicated that Xian, he had reached the heaven realm. And the distance between them wasn't far. Most importantly, under the situation where she didn't have any profound energy, the profound phoenix ring could still sense Xian. Yi Qing Luo couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart. But, facing Zhu Wu Xian, she couldn't show any signs of it. Moreover, it seemed that the moment she left the boundary of this ancient tree, the scorching sensation on her fingertips would disappear. Which meant to say, the connection with the profound dragon ring was the strongest here. Yi Qing Luo didn't have any profound energy, so she couldn't use her mental energy to sense where the profound dragon ring was. But, she could sense it. Which meant that Dmo Xian, who was wearing the profound dragon ring, could sense it. She had to delay for a period of time here. To fight for more time for Dmo Xian. Yi Qing Luo's heart was surging with various emotions. But on the surface, she didn't show any of it because of Zhu Wu Xian. She raised her head slightly and met Zhu Wu Xian's concerned eyes as her lips curled into a smile, filled with a thick sense of ridicule. You really treat me as a prisoner. No matter where I go, I have to be in your line of sight? Zhu Wu Xian's lips moved as he wanted to say something. But when the words reached the tip of his tongue, he swallowed it back. Yi Qing Luo sneered as she shot a cold glance at Zhu Wu Xian. She and Zhu Wu Xian had separated for at most 2 incenses time. Zhu Wu Xian came looking for her. Was it because he couldn't give her too much alone time? Or was it because she touched the barrier and attracted Zhu Wu Xian's attention? Or perhaps Zhu Wu Xian knew that Dmo Xian had come to the heaven realm and was searching for her whereabouts. So he panicked, anxiously looking for her, wanting to ascertain if she was still around? Yi Qing Luo indicated that it was most likely the third guess. She squinted her eyes slightly as a cold glint flashed across her long and narrow eyes. The words that came out of his mouth were still so harsh. I said, I just want to be alone. I don't want to see your face. You just woke up, and your body is still very weak. Zhu Wuxin's voice softened. Go back to your room and rest first. Don't be exposed to the wind for too long. I know my own body. Yi Qing Luo raised her head slightly. I know that there's an enchantment set up outside your residence and I'm someone without any profound energy, so there's no way for me to pass through your enchantment, so you don't need to worry about me leaving. As she spoke, the mockery in her eyes intensified. Zhu Wuxian's brows creased tightly as his grave and stern face was filled with helplessness. I'm only concerned about you. Yi Qing Luo, can you not use such words to stab me? Yi Qing Luo sneered, from the moment you schemed against me, haven't you already expected that there would be such an outcome? If you don't want to listen to me, then let me out. Impossible. Zhu Wuxian's expression darkened. Don't even think about leaving this place. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips, since you don't intend to let me leave this place, and I have no way to break the enchantment, then let me enjoy the scenery here alone. Zhu Wuxian's expression turned even more solemn. Yi Qing Luo, I don't want to do anything that makes you hate me, so don't force me. Yi Qing Luo laughed when she heard that. Could it be that the things that he did were all forced by her? Could it be that he had betrayed her trust, and was also forced by her? Did it need to be so comical? She had almost believed this excuse, okay? Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4389. The disdain and ridicule on Yi Qing Luo's face was totally unconcealed. In Zhu Wuxian's black eyes, there seemed to be some raging waves surging unceasingly. All of a sudden, he moved. His figure appeared in front of Yi Qing Luo. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Yi Qing Luo's arm. That hand was the hand which was wearing the profound phoenix ring. Yi Qing Luo's expression instantly tensed up. He found out? Yi Qing Luo's mind was whirling as she was thinking of ways to cover up this matter, to fight for more time for Xian. But at the next moment, Zhu Wuxian's hands suddenly increased the strength. Her entire body fell heavily into Zhu Wuxian's firm chest. His arm pressed down on her with extreme force, making her unable to move at all. A faint plum fragrance invaded all her senses. She wanted to struggle. But in exchange, the man hugged her even more tightly. She almost couldn't breathe. You hate me that much? Zhu Wuxian's hoarse voice was filled with bitterness. He spoke word by word, as though he was venting the anger in his chest. Not waiting for Yi Qing Luo's reply, he pressed the person in his arms tightly as he gritted his teeth. Even if you hate me, I will not let go of you. Yi Qing Luo expressed that she was almost out of breath. At the same time as she struggled, she heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, Zhu Wuxian hadn't discovered that she and Dmo Xian had already contacted each other. But now was indeed not the time to stay here any longer. Based on Zhu Wuxian's acute character, if she continued to stay, it might possibly arouse his suspicions. Yi Qing Luo hid the deep thoughts in her eyes as she pushed the person in front of her and struggled to break free from his hand. Are you trying to suffocate me to death? This roar was a little muffled. Zhu Wuxian seemed to have regained a trace of rationality from his crazed state. His eyes, which were as dark as a lake, seemed to be gathering light, and they shrunk little by little. This strange look made Yi Qing Luo have an inexplicable strange feeling. Zhu Wuxian's hand, which was placed on Yi Qing Luo's shoulder, was still trembling slightly. He looked at the girl in his arms, whose face was flushed red and filled with displeasure. The vortexes in his eyes grew increasingly ferocious. Suddenly, he clasped Yi Qing Luo's wrist tightly, pulling her along as he took quick steps towards the courtyard which she had stayed in previously. This time round, Yi Qing Luo didn't create any trouble. Instead, he cooperated and followed behind Zhu Wuxian. When Zhu Wuxian turned around, she quickly hid Qi Yan in the flower bed on the side. Perhaps Zhu Wuxian's emotions were unstable at the moment. He did not notice Yi Qing Luo's little movements. Along the way, he was about 5 steps away from the ancient tree. The burning sensation coming from the profound phoenix ring on his fingertip gradually subsided. The connection was completely broken. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes and stared at the profound phoenix ring which had returned to normal as she pursed her lips slightly. Her slender fingers clenched a little tighter. I have to find another opportunity, to come here and give it a try. Just now, Xian should have been able to determine her location. She was thinking about the profound phoenix ring and Xian. She totally didn't notice it. That man who was walking in front and tugging her arm had such a strange expression on his face. Sometimes his expression was grave and stern, but it was filled with pain. Sometimes his expression was twisted, as though he was struggling with something. That pair of serene black eyes had a strange glint, which kept darting about, as though it wanted to devour the man's everything. The two of them had different thoughts in their minds. In this strange silence, they returned to their original room. Hurry up and read the latest updates. Download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4390. The room had already been tidied up. Those portraits of Yiqing Luo on the bookshelf had all been kept away. Even the inkstone that she had knocked over and the ink splattered all over the floor had been cleaned up. Not a single blemish could be seen. Standing at the door, Yiqing Luo struggled to break free from his clamping hands. This time, Zhu Wu Exan let go very quickly. After she broke free, Yiqing Luo stood at the original spot as she looked at him calmly. Since you want me to stay here, then prepare a room for me. Zhu Wu Exan, you stay here. I refuse. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with ridicule. I stay next door. Zhu Wu Exan explained. I still refuse. Yiqing Luo surveyed the surroundings. This room is filled with your scent. I don't want my body to be tainted with another man's scent. She paused as her vision swept past the study table. Moreover, a room for someone who harbors ill intentions towards me. It's scary for me to stay there. Zhu Wu Exan's cold face moved slightly. His eyes were gloomy as he stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking, as though he was covered in frost. Yiqing Luo remained unmoved. Instead she met his gaze and looked at him calmly. After a long time, Zhu Wu Exan turned around and walked out of the room. His silhouette looked very cold and fierce. Yiqing Luo looked at Zhu Wu Exan's departing back view. She had no intention to stop him. She walked into the inner hall and sat down by the side. Her fingers caressed the profound phoenix ring. Xian. When there was no news of Xian, she could still suppress the longing for Xian in her heart. But, after sensing Xian's presence, she really was unable to suppress the longing in her heart. Missed him so much, missed him so much. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers held the profound phoenix ring tightly. Heaven Realm, Tianya Ridge's entrance. A group of people stood there as pairs of gazes congealed on the man in front. The man's back was facing them and he was as handsome as a god. His peerless face was filled with a grave expression. That pair of cold peach blossom eyes were swirling with a whirlpool. A strong gust of wind blew heavily against his purple robe. The profound wave's attack made his robe flutter. Broken? The man murmured in a low voice as he stared unblinkingly at the ring engraved with a dragon totem on his finger. Lord Dizun, what's broken? A group of people behind him immediately asked. If Yiqing Luo was here at this moment, he would definitely be surprised. Those brothers who had climbed up to the Earth domain with great difficulty and had yet to catch up with her had actually appeared in the Heaven domain. That group of people, aren't they, those few people from the World Mercenary Group? Dmo Xian's thin lips were tightly pursed, as his eyes seemed to be surging with perilous waves. The connection with Lil Luo, has been broken. Just now, the few of them followed Zhu Wuxin's last traces and rushed to World Horizon Ridge to search for Yiqing Luo. Dmo Xian had been operating the Netherworld Dragon Ring. It was the moment they arrived at the Tianya Ridge. The Netherworld Dragon Ring reacted. It was as though Lil Luo, was by his side when he wanted to use the profound dragon ring to get in touch with Yiqing Luo. But all he got was a blank space. There was no response. It could sense the profound phoenix ring. But he didn't get any response from the profound phoenix ring's owner. This made Dmo Xian's heart felt as though there was a huge rock pressing on it. Whoever knew that just as he wanted to use the profound dragon ring to locate Yi Qing Luo's exact location, the connection between the dragon and phoenix rings was suddenly cut off. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4391. Huangfu Sheng's face turned pale. What happened to Ah Luo? What did that mean? Dmo Xian's expression was solemn and cold as his eyes stared fixedly at the netherworld dragon ring. I don't know, but the only thing I can confirm is that Lil Luo should have been here before. Zhu Wu Xian, that scoundrel, why did he bring Qing Luo to this kind of ghastly place for? Yan Xiao Yi looked around at the terrifying dense forest as her face was filled with worry. Tianya Ridge was the most dangerous place in the Heaven Realm. Basically, no one in the entire Heaven Realm would take things too hard and run over to Tianya Mountain Range to train. At most, it was used to punish clan members who had made mistakes. It could be said that in the entire Heaven Realm, throwing someone into the Tianya Ridge was the cruelest punishment. On the way to the Tianya Ridge, Huangfu Sheng told Yan Xiao Yi and the others about the legend of Tianya Ridge. Dmo Xian's deep and cold eyes looked at the group of people behind him as his voice was deep and cold. This lord will go in first, all of you wait outside. Let's go together as well. Xiao Jin hurriedly said. Little Jin, we're just dragging the ham if we go in. If we delay the overlord from saving little Qing Luo, we'll die very, very miserably. An arm circled around Xiao Jin's shoulder. Zhou Mo, who had a devilish look on his face, hung limply on Xiao Jin's body. Xiao Jin hesitated. But, believe in the overlord, he cares about little Qing Luo more than anyone else here. Zhou Mo's red phoenix eyes curved. He shot a glance in the direction of Gue Wu. Ah Wu, are you staying behind or going in? I'm waiting for someone. Gue Wu indifferently replied. Waiting for someone? Zhou Mo looked suspiciously from Xiao Jin's body to Gue Wu's. Waiting for who? Other than me, who else can you wait for? Gue Wu did not even look at him, nor did he have any intention of replying. The others didn't want to pay attention to this playful fox either. All of them looked at Dmo Xian, hoping to find out about Yi Qing Luo's news from his mouth. Brother-in-law, Di Zun. Is sister really inside? Kitty Lee asked cautiously. She had signed a blood contract with her sister. However, she couldn't sense her sister's aura at all. It was as if the connection between her and her sister had been cut off. Dmo Xian's stern face was wrapped in a thin layer of frost. This lord cannot be certain. Kitty Lee's little claws immediately clenched together. The two little ears on his head couldn't help but stand up. Dmo Xian's gaze looked towards the boundless dense forest ahead. The surrounding vines were like man-eating plants, filled with a strange aura. He ignored the people behind him and walked straight into the horizon ridge. The group of people behind him wanted to follow. But at the entrance of the Tianya Ridge, however, he still stopped in his tracks. Qing Luo will be fine, right? Yan Xiao Yi nestled in Xiao Jin's arms as she lowered her head, her eyes filled with anxiety. Xiao Jin comforted him in a low voice. I believe in Di Zun's judgment. It's already not easy for us to come to the Heaven Realm. If we follow them into the Tianya Mountain Range, there will be danger everywhere. No one knows what will happen. Let's wait here for the overlord to bring Qing Luo back. Everything. I'll leave it to Lord Di Zun. Yi Qing Luo sat in the room for a short period of time. She heard a commotion outside the door. She didn't even raise her head as her voice was cold. Zhu Wu Xian, either change my room or let me out. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 4392. Huangfu Sheng's face turned pale. What happened to Ah Luo? What did that mean? Dmo Xian's expression was solemn and cold as his eyes stared fixedly at the netherworld dragon ring. I don't know, but the only thing I can confirm is that Lil Luo should have been here before. Zhu Wu Xian, that scoundrel, why did he bring Qing Luo to this kind of ghastly place for? Yan Xiao Yi looked around at the terrifying dense forest as her face was filled with worry. Tianya Ridge was the most dangerous place in the Heaven Realm. Basically, no one in the entire Heaven Realm would take things too hard and run over to Tianya Mountain Range to train. At most, it was used to punish clan members who had made mistakes. It could be said that in the entire Heaven Realm, throwing someone into the Tianya Ridge was the cruelest punishment. On the way to the Tianya Ridge, Huang Fuxing told Yan Xiao Yi and the others about the legend of Tianya Ridge. Dmo Xian's deep and cold eyes looked at the group of people behind him as his voice was deep and cold. This lord will go in first, all of you wait outside. Let's go together as well. Xiao Jin hurriedly said. Little Jean, we're just dragging the ham if we go in. If we delay the overlord from saving little Qing Luo, we'll die very, very miserably. An arm circled around Xiao Jin's shoulder. Zhou Mo, who had a devilish look on his face, hung limply on Xiao Jin's body. Xiao Jin hesitated. But, believe in the overlord, he cares about little Qing Luo more than anyone else here. Zhou Mo's red phoenix eyes curved. He shot a glance in the direction of Gue Wu. Ah Wu, are you staying behind or going in? I'm waiting for someone. Gue Wu indifferently replied. Waiting for someone? Zhou Mo looked suspiciously from Xiao Jin's body to Gue Wu's. Waiting for who? Other than me, who else can you wait for? Gue Wu did not even look at him, nor did he have any intention of replying. The others didn't want to pay attention to this playful fox either. All of them looked at Dmo Xian, hoping to find out about Yi Qing Luo's news from his mouth. Brother-in-law, Di Zun. Is sister really inside? Kitty Lee asked cautiously. She had signed a blood contract with her sister. However, she couldn't sense her sister's aura at all. It was as if the connection between her and her sister had been cut off. Dmo Xian's stern face was wrapped in a thin layer of frost. This lord cannot be certain. Kitty Lee's little claws immediately clenched together. The two little ears on his head couldn't help but stand up. Dmo Xian's gaze looked towards the boundless dense forest ahead. The surrounding vines were like man-eating plants, filled with a strange aura. He ignored the people behind him and walked straight into the horizon ridge. The group of people behind him wanted to follow. But at the entrance of the Tianya Ridge, however, he still stopped in his tracks. Qing Luo will be fine, right? Yan Xiao Yi nestled in Xiao Jin's arms as she lowered her head, her eyes filled with anxiety. Xiao Jin comforted him in a low voice. I believe in Di Zun's judgment. It's already not easy for us to come to the Heaven Realm. If we follow them into the Tianya mountain range, there will be danger everywhere. No one knows what will happen. Let's wait here for the overlord to bring Qing Luo back. Everything. I'll leave it to Lord Di Zun. Yi Qing Luo sat in the room for a short period of time. She heard a commotion outside the door. Chapter 4393. For this kind of newbie who had just received part of the training and had yet to serve their master, their thoughts were mostly the cleanest. Especially for a young girl who didn't even know how to speak. It was even more convenient. But although the young girl didn't know how to speak, but her expressions were very rich. Whatever Yi Qing Luo asked, she was able to use her expressions to answer a part of it. Yi Qing Luo could more or less decipher a rough idea. For example, they were suddenly brought to this residence by Zhu Wu Xian 3 days ago. Zhu Wu Xian only instructed them to serve the lady in the residence, which was Yi Qing Luo. But this was also the first time they met her. 3 days ago. Yi Qing Luo remembered that she should have been unconscious for 2 days. Which meant that she was brought to this residence 2 days ago. Which meant that Right from the start, Zhu Wu Xian had planned to imprison her here. She scoffed lightly as her brows were filled with cold ridicule. He had indeed planned it well. Yi Qing Luo laughed coldly. The young girl who was leading the way revealed some fear on her face when she heard her laughter. As though she didn't understand which sentence she had said wrongly. Yi Qing Luo. Did she look like a cruel person to him? Why was this young lady so easily frightened by her? Where are you bringing me to? She changed the topic. They walked for about half an incense's time. They had already walked past a courtyard. He turned into another courtyard. The young lady had no intention of stopping. What trick was Zhu Wu Xian trying to play? After walking for a while more, the young girl stopped at the door of a room and made a gesture towards her. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as she looked at the room in front of her. She stretched out her hand and directly pushed open the door. What entered her eyes was an extremely luxurious ladies' room. It was separated into two rooms. The outer hall was clean and tidy, and the things displayed were all things which ladies loved. But it was exquisite and luxurious everywhere. Yi Qing Luo could tell with just one look. This room was so clean that there was no trace of anyone staying in it. This was the room which Zhu Wu Xian prepared for her. The young girl bowed towards her and used her hand gestures to express her meaning. Which probably meant that this courtyard was her place. This room was her lady's room. Following that, he took out a bell from his bosom and respectfully handed it over to Yi Qing Luo. He hinted to her that if she needed them for anything, she could ring the bell and they would rush over. After explaining these things, the little girl retreated. His speed was so fast that he looked like he was fleeing for his life. Yi Qing Luo took a look at the bell in her hand as a sharp glint flashed past her eyes. She casually tossed the bell into the air. As the bell fell, the gourd flame fan in his hand opened up, turning into a biting cold energy. Kacha! The bell broke into two halves. A wisp of extremely faint profound wave overflowed from the bell. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at that overflowing profound wave, disappearing into the air. She sneered coldly and twitched the corner of her lips. She couldn't hide the mockery in her eyes. You want to trick me with this little trick? Did Zhu Wuxin think that he could lower her guard against a little girl who didn't know how to speak? But, did he forget? For her, everything about him was worthy of her suspicion. This was his territory. The young girl belonged to him. How could she possibly believe him? Yi Qing Luo didn't even take a look at the bell which had broken into two halves as she turned around and walked into the room, closing the door. In a room in the neighboring courtyard. It was so dark that one couldn't see anything in the room when suddenly a sound of something breaking was heard. End of this chapter. Chapter 4394. Romance Website. Trash 7th Missy, Overlord, Be Gentle with Your Love, latest chapter. Yo, you're trying to spy on someone but got discovered? A lazy voice was particularly clear in the pitch-black room. Following that voice, the room was gradually lit up with candlelight, lighting up the surroundings. A tall and handsome figure slowly walked to the side of the desk. The man was dressed in a bamboo-colored long robe, which hung loosely on his body, revealing a large area of skin. His long hair was not tied up as it hung loosely on his shoulders. His entire person was lazy and carefree. Both his hands were propped on the study table. In front of him was a bronze mirror. On the bronze mirror, there were numerous cracks. What are you here for? The man in front of the study table had an icy cold expression as he shifted his gaze away from the bronze mirror. To see you chase after a young lady. The lazy man pulled a chair over and sat down on the other side of the study table. As his loose robe fluttered, his naked long legs were faintly discernible. Zhu Wu Xian took a glance and his expression turned uglier. Scram. The lazy man lowered his eyes as he looked at his fair thighs and pulled the loose robe over to cover it. I'm not here to seduce you, why are you reacting so strongly for? Could it be that You have a reaction towards the sexy me? Green veins popped out on Zhu Wuxian's forehead. Scram yourself, or do I have to beat you out? Ha ha ha. The lazy man looked at Zhu Wuxian's raging look with satisfaction as he maintained a lazy expression. I haven't seen your angry face for a long time, I miss it so much. After listening to this sentence, Zhu Wuxian's expression stiffened, and after some time, he slowly retracted all the emotions on his face. It turned back into a cold, expressionless expression. He pursed his lips as he looked coldly at the man's face. Why didn't you stay in your upper profound hall? Why did you run over to the heaven realm? Upper profound hall. If Yi Qing Luo was present, she would definitely recognize him. This lazy and carefree man, wasn't he the Nirvana realm's heavenly academy, the hidden upper profound hall? Hall master. You can come, why can't I? The hall master smiled as he replied. Zhu Wuxian glanced at him. The palace master shrugged his shoulders and raised his hands in surrender. I'm just here to see how far you've gone in your pursuit of the lady and whether you need my help. What kind of rotten ideas did you come up with? At the mention of this, Zhu Wuxian's gaze became even colder. He abruptly reached out and grabbed the temple master's collar. What nonsense are you saying that you can move a woman's heart by being gentler and saying more sweet nothings? That's utter nonsense. Yes. His skill in flirting with girls was very strong. It was all taught by this Ascendant Hall master of the Ascendant Hall. The palace master shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly, don't you know very well how difficult the lady you've taken a fancy to is? Zhu Wuxian's expression stiffened. Moreover, it's not like you don't know that she is dead set on that person. The palace master continued, it would have been fine if you wanted a virgin, but you just had to want a woman whose heart already belonged to someone. Zhu Wuxian's hand that was grabbing his collar also froze. Then, his fingers released the temple master one by one. His hands clenched into fists as he sat back on the chair. The palace master looked at the ugly expression on Zhu Wuxian's face and wanted to say something, but in the end, it turned into a helpless sigh. You reap what you sow. I'm so unlucky to have a brother like you. He picked up that cracked bronze mirror on the table. The moment he touched it, the broken pieces of the bronze mirror all fell onto the table. Brother, your action of trying to spy on her but being discovered by her, it's hard not to save her. Chapter 4395. The bell was the medium to monitor Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo had cut the bell into two halves, thus breaking the connection between the bell and the bronze mirror. Zhu Wuxian's fist, which was placed on the table, clenched even tighter. The green veins on his palm could be seen faintly. Hall master's gaze swept past his face. You really intend to imprison her for life? Zhu Wuxian's eyes flickered, dark and deep, this time. No one can think of taking her away from my identity. Hall master's pupils shrunk slightly. But that handsome and lazy face didn't have much emotion. He lazily leaned against the back of the chair as he squinted his eyes and spoke in disdain. Previously, when you brought her to my place, I advised you to take the opportunity to eat her up. She has become your woman, so are you still afraid that she will leave you? But you insisted on waiting for her to be willing before you touch her. Look at you now. Don't talk about touching her. Even if you want to get close to her, you will probably be despised to death. Zhu Wuxian glanced at him coldly. Do you think everyone is like you? But what you're doing now is no different from eating her up. Hall master didn't think much of it, but his words hit the nail on the head. Do you think that not touching her is the greatest respect for her and you will be able to maintain a friendly relationship with her on the surface? But have you forgotten? That lady's wild nature is hard to tame. You've lied to her once or twice and imprisoned her here. Do you think she will still treat you as a friend? Zhu Wuxian's eyes instantly congealed as the expression on his face turned steely green. Don't stare at me, I'm speaking the truth. Hall master raised his hand and blocked Zhu Wuxian's icy cold vision. Since things have already come to this, you might as well sleep with her now. Zhu Wuxian's eyes turned colder and colder. Like a 10,000-year-old frost mountain, it enveloped everything in the surroundings. Hall Master shrunk backwards but still braced himself and said, "Everyone says that women wear pajamas. You use a man's ability to conquer her, so that she can't leave you." Zhu Wuxian's eyes stared at Hall Master without blinking. Hall Master blinked his eyes. The two of them exchanged glances. The room was silent. The Temple Master blinked again and nodded at him. "Trust me, this is the ultimate technique for chasing girls." A subtle change flashed through Zhu Wuxin's eyes. Yiqing Luo checked the room which no one had ever stayed in from the beginning to the end. He confirmed that there was no sign of Zhu Wuxin's aura. He found a chair and sat down. He didn't know what was wrong with Zhu Wuxin. After changing her room, and even tried to monitor her movements in the room? If not for the fact that he knew that Zhu Wuxin wasn't that kind of person, with filthy thoughts, he wouldn't have believed it. She almost suspected that Zhu Wuxin was really possessed by a pervert. She lowered her eyes and looked at the ring engraved with a phoenix on her finger. She sighed softly. Zhu Wuxin was becoming more and more abnormal. She had to quickly think of a way to leave this place. The profound phoenix ring had sensed it the last time he was at that ancient tree. She had to go to the ancient tree again. Just as he was thinking, Yiqing Luo suddenly felt a scorching sensation on her fingertips. His fingers seemed to have been pricked by something. It was the same feeling as when she was at the ancient tree. Her eyes shone as she speedily raised her hand and her fingertips touched the Ming mirror as she excitedly asked in a probing tone, "A Xian, is that you?" Her voice was filled with cautiousness and anticipation. But she was afraid that she would be disappointed. Chapter 4396. But there was no response from the profound phoenix ring. Yiqing Luo didn't give up as she pursed her lips and called out again, "Ah Xian. Ah Xian." The air was still deathly silent. Yiqing Luo's heart felt as though it had fallen from the clouds into the abyss. No response from Ah Xian. Still no response from Ah Xian. She squeezed her eyes shut. Her arms hung limply by her side. Was she disappointed? Of course she was disappointed. She missed Ah Xian so much that she was going crazy. The profound phoenix ring on her fingertips was still burning and the vibration was still stimulating her senses. She didn't move, allowing the profound phoenix ring to release its energy. Just at this moment, like an electric current, an intermittent voice rang in her ears, "Little Luo, that voice sounded like a phone call with a bad signal. It was intermittent and mixed with electricity. But, even so, Yiqing Luo still heard that voice and the words that were spat out. Her body suddenly tensed up. His eyes, which had been closed, quickly opened. Her eyes looked at the profound phoenix ring in disbelief. That originally dead heart in his chest suddenly began to beat vigorously, as though it was going to jump out from her throat. She raised her hand in front of her and stared at the profound phoenix ring. Her eyes slowly turned red. "Ah Xian, little Luo, The voice gradually became clearer. The man's deep and magnetic voice entered Yiqing Luo's ears. Like a soft feather, it spread out in her heart, little by little, causing ripples to appear. Yiqing Luo's heart tightened. Her pink lips gradually curved into a beautiful smile. "Ah Xian." Her fingers gently touched the profound phoenix ring, as though it was caressing the man's face. Her voice revealed a slight tremble, "Xian. Ah Xian." Her longing for Dmo Xian. At this moment it was uncontrollably pouring out. She kept calling out Dmo Xian's name, as though she wanted to shout out all her longing for this period of time. "Lil Luo, are you alright?" Dmo Xian's voice was suppressing the joy and agitation. His first question was to ascertain if Yiqing Luo was alright. Yiqing Luo's throat seemed to be blocked by something as her eyes reddened tightly. Her little hands were tightly clenched into fists, trying to suppress her current emotions. "Lil Luo, Did he do something to you? After not hearing Yiqing Luo's reply for a long time, the man's voice turned taut. His tone was also slightly anxious. Yiqing Luo hurriedly replied, "No. No, I'm fine, I'm fine." As soon as she spoke, choking sounds came out from her lips uncontrollably. He could no longer restrain himself. Yiqing Luo simply didn't conceal it as she sniffled and spoke with a sobbing tone, "Xian, I miss you." Dmo Xian's heart wrenched at this moment. His heart ached. "Lil Luo, wait for me. I will come and pick you up immediately." Pick her up immediately? Hearing this sentence, Yiqing Luo's agitated heart slowly regained some rationality. She forcefully wiped her eyes, suppressing the sourness that welled up in her eyes. The connection between the profound phoenix ring and profound dragon ring could not cross the boundary. Previously, when they were in the ancient tree, they were able to confirm that Dmo Xian had reached the heaven realm. But now, through the two rings, they communicated. This meant that Dmo Xian was currently in the vicinity of this residence. Or perhaps, he had already infiltrated this residence. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. Chapter 4397. This knowledge made Yiqing Luo's heart skip a beat. "Xian, where are you now? Do you miss me so much?" The man's clear voice had a hint of a smile. Like the warm sunshine, dispelling all the coldness in Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart was melted and her eyes turned red again. She pursed her lips and suppressed her emotions. "I miss you very much. But I don't want you to take risks for me." She tried hard to calm herself down and continued, "Xian, I'm fine here. He only restricted my freedom, but didn't hurt me. Don't be impulsive, I will wait here for you to pick me up, but you have to promise me, all your actions must be 80%, no, 90% and above, before you can take action." Dmo Xian laughed lowly. Huayan's low and hoarse voice seemed to overflow from the depths of his throat. In this silent room, inexplicably, a layer of faint ambiguity was emitted. He was using his voice to tease her heartstrings. The young lady's cheeks were flushed, her charming eyes were watery and beautiful. She pinched her fingertips and pouted, "I'm serious. Believe that I can protect myself and not let you worry. You can't let me worry too." "Shoo." The man hushed her. That one syllable. It almost made Yiqing Luo's legs soften. She really missed him too much. That was why she could only hear his voice and couldn't control her feelings. Dmo Xian's voice became more gentle. "Be good, don't talk about these, I want to hear you say, 'You miss me.'" Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo was so angry that she laughed. It was already at this time. He still had the mood to joke. Dmo Xian guessed the young lady's thoughts and laughed lightly, "I'm not joking." He paused, and his voice also revealed a few traces of Keely and Toomey. "I just missed you." That clear voice was slightly hoarse. It made Yiqing Luo's heart skip a few beats. Her face had already turned red uncontrollably. "I want to hear you talk. Just about you and me." That voice was even lower, mellow and seductive. Yiqing Luo bit her lower lip. "I lost to you." Finally, she could hear his voice. He wanted to make use of this rare opportunity to listen to her words of love. Shouldn't they take this opportunity to discuss their current situation and analyze how to leave this mansion together? However, listening to the man's seductive words, Yiqing Luo had no way to reject. Towards Dmo Xian's beauty, she would never be able to refuse. Yiqing Luo started to rummage through her mind for all the local love words that she knew. "Ah Xian, when it comes to liking you, I am number one in the world. Although you have walked out of my sight, I can't walk out of my longing for you." Far away in the depths of the horizon ridge, a person stood on the back of a nine-tailed fox, floating in midair. That peerless face was filled with softness. His eyes were filled with gentleness and love. However, the surging waves around him seemed to be able to overturn the entire Tianya Ridge. The hurricane howled, and the tyrannical profound waves surged behind him like raging waves. His hands moved and his sleeves fluttered. The profound light grew stronger and stronger as it charged into the boundless forest ahead. Rumble, a decaying aura pervaded the entire space. Bam! A heavy collision sound was heard. The energy which he released seemed to have collided against an invisible barrier, as it was bounced back. The fastest update speed, hurry up and read it. Download address, cell phone reading. Chapter 4398. The vast energy eroded everything around it. 3 steps away from Dmo Xian, because of the rebounding energy, the entire Tianya Ridge was shaking incessantly. Bam, 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 the tyrannical profound waves collided again and again. And were rebounded by that invisible barrier again and again. Each wave was more turbulent than the last. Each wave was more majestic and vast than the last. Everything around it was razed to the ground. But, even though it created such a horrifying scene, the man's face was still so gentle and pampering. There was not a bit of evil aura on it. It was as if the surrounding environment was treacherous. It was not created by him. And he seemed to have no connection with the surrounding environment. By his ear, he only heard the gentle voice of a young lady, gently ringing. The gentle voice was filled with the sweetness and tenderness of a young lady. Each and every word was like a warm current, rippling in his heart. He would occasionally respond with a word or two. From time to time, he would use a low and alluring voice to reply a few words. Even at the same time when he was doing such a gentle thing, the surrounding profound waves did not stop for even a little bit. On the contrary, along with the gentleness in his eyes, his imposing manner and broad and violent overbearingness, as if it could swallow everything in the world. He did not know how long it lasted. The young lady's voice suddenly stopped. After several breaths of silence, her voice was a little hoarse. A low sigh, overflowing from her lips, "Ah Xian, I miss you," another set of rustic words of love. But in the end, at the very end, she only had the words, "miss you," to express everything in her heart. The man's shimmering peach blossom eyes seemed to have light floating, captivating one's soul. He slightly raised his hand, caressed the netherworld dragon ring on his fingertip, as if he could caress the young lady's face through the air. Miss her. He missed her too. Wanted to hold her in his arms, to hug her tightly, to touch her body temperature, to smell the fragrance on her body, to feel her by his side, just at this moment. Suddenly, from the other side of the ring, came the young lady's slightly tense voice, "Zhu Xian, what are you doing here again?" The man's pupils suddenly contracted. On the other side of the room, Yiqing Luo was staring at the profound phoenix ring in a daze. She couldn't wait to leap into Dmo Xian's arms through the profound phoenix ring. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Her emotions immediately tensed up. She jumped up from the bed and saw Zhu Wuxin walking in with a cold expression. Zhu Wuxin's expression was cold, and there seemed to be some sort of emotion in his eyes. It was extremely frightening. "Zhu Wuxin, what are you doing here again?" Yiqing Luo clutched the profound phoenix ring tightly, her heart thumped hard. Surely it couldn't be that. Zhu Xian had discovered that she had made contact with Dmo Xian. His complexion was extremely frightening. Without saying a word, Zhu Wuxin slowly approached her. An invisible pressure poured down on them. The air seemed to be frozen into frost. She stared at Zhu Xian's gloomy face and clenched her fingers tightly. "Zhu Xian, what exactly do you want to do?" "Ah." Her wrist was forcefully grabbed by Zhu Wuxin. That wide palm was extremely powerful. Pressing both her arms, he pressed her body onto the bed. Yiqing Luo's expression instantly turned extremely ugly as her voice revealed a chilly tone. Zhuwu Xian, do you know what you're doing? I've never been more clear-headed than now. Zhuwu Xian looked at her from above, and between his brows was a deep coldness which Yiqing Luo couldn't understand. Please remember this book's domain name. Com, wonderful book house mobile version website. Com. Chapter 4399. His pair of cold eyes reflected the girl's cold and elegant and exquisite face that could topple cities. His long slender fingers slowly caressed Yiqing Luo's delicate face. His fingertips moved gently towards her lips. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed past, and in this dim room, it revealed a chilly glint. Zhuwu Xian, if you dare to make another move, I will make you unable to be a man for the rest of your life. Her tone was filled with an eerie chill. Her alluring eyes were filled with endless enmity towards men. That sinister gaze pierced Zhuwu Xian's eyes. He pursed his thin lips tightly as his chest seemed to be accumulating some kind of unsuppressible emotion. Hall Master's words kept reverberating in his mind. His eyes were filled with black whirlpools as it turned more and more berserk. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the aura of death from Zhuwu Xian's body. That icy cold feeling as though it was isolated from the world. It made her a little apprehensive. Move aside. Her voice deepened. Zhuwu Xian gave a low laugh as his long hair poured down onto Yiqing Luo's body. Yiqing Luo, I've said this before. I won't let go. His tone was mixed with a craziness which he himself didn't even notice. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted slightly as her eyes were filled with coldness and indifference. Zhuwu Xian, you asked for this yourself. Her words had just ended. Her legs suddenly bent upwards as she used all her strength to knock against the man's crotch. Her action was very sudden. Plus, Zhuwu Xian totally didn't expect that Yiqing Luo, who had lost her profound energy, would have any power to retaliate. This time, it was a heart-wrenching pain. No matter how indifferent Zhuwu Xian was, he was in so much pain that his forehead was oozing with cold sweat. Yiqing Luo took the opportunity to escape from his body. Immediately following that, her fingertips moved. Some white powder floated in the air. Following that, she didn't even take a look at Zhuwu Xian as her figure speedily shifted towards the door. Yiqing Luo. Zhuwu Xian staggered as he chased after her. Because of the pain somewhere, every step he took seemed as though he was stepping on a sharp knife. He chased to the door. He held onto the door with one hand as his expression was cold. Stand right there. Yiqing Luo seemed as though she hadn't heard what he said. He quickly rushed out of the courtyard. Zhu Wuxin wanted to give chase. However, his entire body felt as if there were sharp blades stabbing into his lower abdomen one by one, along with the place which Yiqing Luo had kicked earlier. The pain was getting more and more indescribable. Wuxin. The hall master also wanted to come over and check on the current progress. The moment he arrived, he saw Zhu Wuxin lying at the door, twitching in pain. He quickly rushed over and helped Zhu Wuxin up. What happened? Where's that little girl? Zhu Wuxin grabbed his wrist with the back of his hand. His palms were full of cold sweat. That deathly pale face seemed to be filled with extreme pain. He enunciated each word with an ice-cold gaze. Catch her, don't let her escape. Don't. This was the first time the hall master had seen Zhu Wuxin in such a sorry state. The palace lord looked at Zhu Wuxin's appearance, then at his slightly bent body, as if he was in extreme pain somewhere. The expression on his face was very complicated. He patted Zhu Wuxin's shoulder. This is the enchantment that you've conjured, she can't escape. But are you sure you don't want to cure the poison first? His gaze fell onto a certain part of Zhu Wuxin. You must know that this part of a man is very important. If you're not careful, in the future you might. Please remember this book's domain name. Com, wonderful book house mobile version website. Com. Chapter 4400. Zhu Wuxian's eyes suddenly blurred. The image of the young girl looking at him with hostility and an ashen face appeared in his mind. He could still hear the girl's cold words ringing in his ears. "I will make it so that you can never be a man." She was referring to, is that it? Once, after being removed from her world. She would not be soft-hearted. In her heart. Right now, he was just an enemy. Wuxian. "I'll detoxify you first." The temple master looked at him with a pale face and a bitter smile on his face. He gritted his teeth and carried him up. Zhu Wuxian's breathing was tight. His voice was pained, but it was filled with determination. "Find her. I want her to personally cure me of the poison." He could not possibly let go of Yiqing Luo. Even if she hated him, it didn't matter. Even if he was treated as an enemy, it didn't matter. He must keep her by his side. Zhu Wuxian. The leader of the temple gnashed his teeth and glared at Zhu Wuxian. "What have I done to deserve a brother like you?" He carried her into the room. Just as he was about to press the other party onto the bed, Zhu Wuxian's hand gripped it tightly. Don't touch her bed." The palace master's movements paused. "Why are you so hard to please?" Zhu Wuxian forcefully closed his eyes. The intense pain from his lower abdomen caused large beads of cold sweat to appear on his forehead. "Put me on the ground," he said with difficulty. "Temple master, are you sick?" "Yiqing Luo, she doesn't wish for her place to be tainted with my scent." Zhu Wuxian lowered his head slightly, as his voice was so light that there was only a breath left. As his words fell, the surrounding atmosphere was so low that it was a little terrifying. You're really sick." The temple master endured for a long time before swallowing the last few words. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Then, he carried the man to the corner of the room and made him lean against the wall. He pressed Zhu Wuxian against the wall, untied his outer robe, and covered Zhu Wuxian with it. He was about to get up. His gaze swept past Zhu Wuxian's face. His movements suddenly paused, his eyes staring unblinkingly at Zhu Wuxian's face. "Wuxian, you." The hall master's pupils dilated slightly, as if he had received a great shock. What did he see? Zhu Wuxian's deep and dark eyes that were like deep pools were actually filled with thick black mist. The mist was spreading through the building. One could faintly see the infatuation in Zhu Wuxian's eyes, as well as his deep obsession towards Yiqing Luo. What was going on? Why was there such a strange feeling on Wuxian's body? The temple master was just about to reach out and touch Zhu Wuxian's eyes. He had just raised his hand, but he hadn't even gotten close. Zhu Wuxian raised his hand and slapped him down. "Go after them. Bring her back. She can't escape, she can't escape." His hoarse voice was bone-chilling. However, there was also a sense of treachery that made one's hair stand on end. The temple master felt even more uneasy and strange. However, under Zhu Wuxian's urging, he took a deep look at Zhu Wuxian before turning around and leaving the room. After Yiqing Luo left this courtyard, she speedily headed towards that ancient tree. In the profound phoenix ring, the man's voice had already been cut off. Perhaps earlier when Zhu Wuxian was pressing down on her arm, it had cut off the connection between her and Dmo Xian. Not knowing, earlier Zhu Wuxian's voice was not heard by Xian. If he heard it, and the connection between them was suddenly cut off, Xian he would definitely be extremely anxious. Chapter 4401. No way. She couldn't let Xian worry. She must hurry and tell Xian that she was fine. Yiqing Luo's long and thick eyelashes fluttered slightly. Her beautiful eyes revealed a trace of determination. Yiqing Luo had already remembered the path she had taken. It wasn't difficult to find that ancient tree which made the profound phoenix ring react. But, when she reached the garden. However, he was stopped by two petite figures in front of him. The little girl looked like 12 or 13 years old, and she timidly stretched out her arms, blocking Yiqing Luo's path. Yiqing Luo ignored them and prepared to walk past them. But the moment she moved, the two little girls followed and moved, blocking in front of Yiqing Luo. "Move aside." Yiqing Luo's face sunk as she spoke coldly. The two little girls shook their heads hard. Yiqing Luo's brows surfaced a chilly intent. "Move aside, don't force me to make a move." The little girl was so scared that she trembled all over as her mouth was agape, but she couldn't say a single word. However, they didn't seem to have the slightest intention of moving their bodies away. "It's him who asked you to stop me?" Yiqing Luo frowned slightly. Her voice had just ended when she heard a clear voice, "It's me." That voice was very unfamiliar. But vaguely, there was a little bit of familiarity. Didn't Qi Yan say, there was no one else in this residence other than the four of them? How could there be other people? Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw a tall figure descending from the sky. A loose bamboo-colored robe revealed his fair chest muscles. His face was like jade and he looked handsome. Yiqing Luo's brows jumped. Profound Hall. "Hall Master?" The man's brows rose as he laughed lightly. "I didn't expect Miss Yi to still remember me." "It's really you?" Yiqing Luo was shocked. "Why are you here?" Why wasn't he in his profound hall but here in the heaven realm? Of course, to help Wu Xian. Wu Yu. The hall master's thin lips curled upwards, as though he was an immortal. He slowly walked towards Yiqing Luo. "Follow me back to help Wu Xian detoxify." Yiqing Luo's expression changed. "You mean?" "Zhu Wu Xian became so strange and suddenly did that kind of thing to me, was taught by you? Don't you like it?" A trace of hostility flashed through the cold eyes of the palace master. "Don't women like this kind of things that are superficial and meaningless? Words of love? Surprise? Or is it the unique tenderness for you? Since Wu Xian is willing to change for you, it means that his feelings for you are true. Why do you have to reject him again and again?" Yiqing Luo naturally sensed the enmity the hall master had towards her. It was the first time he met the palace master. He restrained his aura and did not reveal his fangs that were too sharp. But, this time, the palace master clearly wanted to kill her. Yiqing Luo maintained her own emotions as her voice was indifferent. "Whether to accept him or not is my business. Don't force your own thoughts onto Zhu Wu Xian and me. Wu Xin is my brother." The ruthlessness in the palace master's eyes intensified. "You even put that kind of poison on him. Come with me to cure the poison immediately." Yiqing Luo sneered. "Thanks to you, isn't it because of you that he became like this?" The palace master's face turned pale, and his figure suddenly moved. His wide sleeves rustled in the air, giving off a loud sound. The profound waves surged wantonly, like a raging hurricane, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws at Yiqing Luo, as though it wanted to swallow her up. "I say." The young lady's red lips were charming as it rose slightly. "Have you liked Zhu Wu Xian for a long time?" Chapter 4402. The surrounding turbulent hurricanes rushed towards Yiqing Luo at the instance. It suddenly stopped. As though the pause button had been pressed. Everything in the surroundings froze in that instant. Several breaths. Bam bam bam. Overbearing profound rays exploded in the surroundings. With Yiqing Luo and the rest as the core. The surrounding flower beds and trees were all exploded and collapsed, turning into ruins. A horrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate instantly spread out. The environment had been destroyed to such a state. But the few people standing in the middle were totally unscathed. The young lady stood against the wind, dressed in a fiery red robe, looking magnificent. Her brows were as calm as water. Her dark red lips curled into a charming cold arc. On her face, there was no change of emotions. As though she was completely certain that he didn't dare to make a move. Or perhaps she had her own trump card. She was not afraid of any of his actions. Obviously. Those two young girls who didn't know how to speak had already fainted from fright. But she was unmoved. The palace lord's half-squinted eyes seemed to be filled with frost. What are you saying? He practically squeezed each word out from the slits of his teeth. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. Her long and thick lashes were like butterfly wings, as it fluttered, projecting a beautiful fox shadow. Looks like I've guessed your thoughts. Yi Qing Luo. The palace lord's expression congealed as his hands clenched into fists. I don't know why you would have such a ridiculous thought, but I'm telling you. Just because you don't like Wu Xian, don't slander his feelings towards you. His eyes turned darker and darker. But it was strangely resolute. You cannot accept him, don't like him, but absolutely cannot deny that he loves you in that heart. Yi Qing Luo's smile slowly froze on her face. Her eyelashes fanned and the expression on her face had lost that coldness. Sky-profound palace lord, everyone's feelings, only he himself knows. She sighed slightly. How can you be sure that the person he really loves is me? I understand him. The palace lord looked at her fixedly. Perhaps even he himself doesn't know how deep his feelings for you are. He paused for a moment. The expression on the palace master's face also became serious. Wu Xian is different from normal people. The life he has lived since he was young is also different from ours. The way he treated things and people, to him, was either to possess or to destroy. Only you, he wanted you, but he couldn't have you, and he couldn't bear to destroy you. Needless to say, he loves you so much that he can't even free himself from it. Although, he did a lot of things that you couldn't agree with. But that's the way he loves you. Everyone loves in a different way. He just loves you the way he loves you. Whether you accept it or not, he loves you. You can't deny this. Hearing the hall master's resolute and sincere words, Zhang Xian felt a chill run down his spine. How could Yi Qing Luo's heart not be shocked? Perhaps she could vaguely feel it. The person Chu Wu Xian was clinging to was not only that Xiao Qing Luo who had given him warmth and gentleness. There was also her, whom he had been pestering but had been repeatedly rejected. However, she did not want to think about the thoughts of men other than Xian. She didn't want to give any man other than Xian any hope. So she directly ignored all of Chu Wu Xian's feelings, placing Chu Wu Xian in a position that seemed like an enemy yet a friend. But today, the palace lord had pointed it out directly. She had no choice but to face this problem. End of this chapter. Chapter 4403. Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes finally had a slight reaction. Her slender brows rose as her long and narrow eyes were filled with complicated emotions which no one could understand. As though she was smiling. Or as though she was ridiculing him. So you feel that I should accept his feelings just because he has deep feelings for me? The young lady's tone was filled with slight ridicule. Hall Master went into a blank for a moment but quickly replied, you should know that he only wishes for you to stay by his side. He wants me to accompany him, so I must accompany him. Yi Qing Luo sneered, what on earth does he treat me as? Hall Master was slightly dazed by Yi Qing Luo's reaction. Generally speaking, when a lady heard such words, even if she had no feelings towards Zhu Wu Xian, she would at least feel touched. Why was it that this young lady still ridiculed him at the slightest disagreement? After a long time, he gazed deeply at Yi Qing Luo as he said word by word, Yi Qing Luo, the reason why I'm saying all these is not because I want you to accept his feelings, but I hope that you can understand Wu Xian's feelings towards you. Just like earlier, you guessed that I have an improper relationship with him. This kind of words is an insult to his feelings towards you. She could tell. Hall Master really cared about Zhu Wu Xian very much. This kind of feelings was not mixed with any other things. She gently curled her lips as her exquisite brows were filled with complicated emotions. Then, I also hope that you can understand that it's impossible for me to accept his feelings, and I don't want to understand his feelings towards me." There was a hint of coldness in her voice. Her tone was indifferent, without much ripples, so. "Move aside, I want to leave this place." Hall Master's handsome face frowned tightly. "You, this woman, why is your heart made of stone? I've said so much and you haven't heard a single word? It's not that I have a heart made of stone, but my heart cannot accommodate a second person." Yi Qing Luo took a step back. Her fingers moved. A burst of flame started burning from her fingertip. "Move aside. Even if I step aside, you won't be able to leave this place." The palace master stared at the leaping flames on her fingertips. "Didn't you lose your profound strength? Whether I can leave or not is my own business." Yi Qing Luo's voice had just landed when the raging flame on her fingertips had already been waved out. When the small ball was swung out, in the blink of an eye, it turned into a fire dragon and burst out of the hole. Boundless waves of fire surged into the sky. Even the surrounding air hissed under these intense flames. The handsome face of the hall master frowned. "Woman, why are you so cold-hearted? I've said so much, but you didn't listen to a single word? It's not that I have a heart of stone, but there's no room for a second person in my heart." Yi Qing Luo took a step back. She moved her fingers. A wisp of flame burned on her fingertip. "Get out of my way. Even if I step aside, you won't be able to leave this place." The hall master stared at the leaping flames on her fingertips. "Haven't you lost your profound energy? Whether I can leave or not is my own business." Yi Qing Luo's words had just landed when the raging flame on her fingertips was already waved out. In an instant, it turned into a fire dragon, breaking out of the hole. The majestic waves of fire set off huge waves. The surrounding air, under this intense flame, gave out a hissing, burning sound. The majestic waves of fire set off huge waves. The surrounding air, under this intense flame, gave out a hissing, burning sound. End of this chapter. Chapter 4404. He's getting serious. With a flap of Qi Yan's wings, the fire wave was blown away. Then it flapped its wings and flew one round around Yi Qing Luo. "The overlord isn't around, so the men you've provoked, one after another." Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and slapped Qi Yan's head. "Don't speak if you don't know how to speak." What did he mean by she had provoked man after man? It was these men who were sick, okay? Qi Yan was almost hit by the palace lord's attack. He looked at the girl who had already run ahead of him. It was so angry that its little mouth pricked Yi Qing Luo's body. "If you dare to touch this sacred beast again, this sacred beast will not care about you anymore and let you be smacked to death by that man." Yi Qing Luo. Suddenly, a palm wind landed heavily on the road in front of Yi Qing Luo. In an instant, gravel flew in all directions, and a huge crater was blasted open on the small path ahead. It also sealed off Yi Qing Luo's escape route. The palace lord chased up to Yi Qing Luo's back, and on seeing her stop in her footsteps, he also stopped in his tracks. "Follow me back, Wu Xian is waiting for you." Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she stared at the deep pit in front of her. The surrounding roads had been blasted into smithereens and she had no place to land her feet at all. With her current situation, where she did not have any profound energy at all, there was no way for her to cross the deep pit from the sky. She slowly turned around and looked at the man behind her. She laughed mockingly. "Lord Palace Lord, I no longer doubt that you like Zhu Wuxin. I say, have you taken a fancy to me?" The temple master's face darkened. "Do you think I'm as blind as Zhu Wuxin?" Yi Qing Luo. What the hell was blind? Hall master's face turned black as he continued. "Yi Qing Luo, don't force me to bring you to Wu Xian's side forcefully. Wu Xian doesn't want to see you getting hurt, but if you insist on forcing me, I don't mind using a pole to carry you over. I told you, I won't be by his side." Yi Qing Luo raised her head slightly, her fair neck, the lines were smooth and beautiful, if you want to see Zhu Wu Xian really become a cripple. I don't mind, you carry me over. Anyway, he was the one who needed her help now. The hall master's face darkened further. He really couldn't understand. How could his brother fall in love with such a cold-hearted woman? He pursed his lips, his voice was tense, and his emotions were on the verge of collapse. You rejected Wu Xin because you don't understand her. If you spend some time with Heartless, you will definitely fall in love with him. Yi Qing Luo. Now it was changed to a conciliatory policy. This thought had just flashed through his mind. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of him. The palace master's sudden movement had already caused him to appear in front of her in a flash. Holy sh*t. He actually dared to play dirty. She had overestimated the palace master's integrity. Yi Qing Luo's hand was directly grabbed by the hall master. The path ahead was already a pitch-black deep pit, and she had no way out at all. When the palace master approached, the raging flames around him bared their fangs and brandished their claws, trying to devour the temple master. But he had no intention of dodging. Just like that. Facing the pain of being burned by the raging flames, he forcefully charged into the flames and arrived in front of her. This hall master was really going all out for Zhu Wuxin. Yi Qing Luo took a look at the hand which was locked on her arm, and following that hand, she looked at the palace master. His face was still as calm as before, not a hint of impatience could be seen. After meeting the palace master's gaze, Chapter 4405. Trying to use the same method to deal with Wu Xian to deal with me? Palace Lord gave a faint smile. You can try. Why should I waste such a precious medicine on you? Yi Qing Luo smiled as she shook her head. I wonder if Palace Lord has tasted human meat before? Palace Lord replied, no. Yi Qing Luo's gaze fell onto his hand. Now, the taste of roasted human meat, Palace Lord can have a taste. In other words, she disdained to poison him. But, the vermilion bird's fire, would teach him how to be a man. Palace Lord naturally understood the deep meaning behind it. But, his hand, had no intention to let go. On the contrary, his palm gripped her arm even more tightly. As he slightly bent over, his handsome face inched closer to her ear. The loose robe revealed a large portion of his skin. Yi Qing Luo only needed to shift her gaze slightly and she was able to see the skin under the loose robe. Yi Qing Luo. Should she ridicule, was this guy an exhibitionist? She had no intention of admiring his skin. So, what on earth was he trying to do? Taking the opportunity to molest her? Yi Qing Luo's eyes flashed past a glint. Just as she was about to raise her hand, to roast human meat, into actual action. Suddenly, a pair of strong and powerful arms went around her shoulders from behind, locking her down. Her back was pressed into a broad embrace. The elegant sandalwood fragrance instantly permeated her entire nose. Bam! In front of her, that person who was locking her arm suddenly flew out. He was still in mid-air, spinning rapidly for a few rounds, before crashing heavily onto the wall at the side. Profound Palace Lord. How dare you touch this lord's person? The man's cold voice was mellow, disdainful. This sudden turn of events. Yi Qing Luo had no time to care, nor was she interested, to bother about it. Since that aura had completely enveloped her. Her body tensed up tightly. Her eyes uncontrollably reddened. The man's temperature, the man's scent, and that mellow voice, all crazily crashed into her head. Ah Xian. Her voice couldn't stop the slight tremble. Joy and shock were mixed in. After shouting out this word, in the end, she couldn't help turning around in the man's arms. She raised her head, and in her eyes that were blurred by tears, the man's peerlessly handsome face was reflected. He also lowered his head. Her peach blossom eyes were filled with love and tenderness. When their eyes met, it was as if there were only the two of them in the world. The girl's soft arms tightly wrapped around the man's waist. Her cheek was pressed against his chest. She listened to his powerful heartbeat. The emptiness in his heart was slowly being filled. Lil Luo, I'm here to pick you up. The man's low and mellow voice was dark and husky, and his beautiful voice tugged at her heartstrings. This sentence, a few simple words. But it forced Yi Qing Luo to forcibly hold back her tears, as it flowed down from the corners of her eyes. She rubbed her face against the man's chest. Dmo Xian allowed her to do whatever she wanted. The tenderness in his eyes could almost cloy someone to death. His hands were tightly wrapped around the girl's delicate body, as though he wanted to rub her into his body. I want to hug you, I've thought about it for a long time. He cupped the young girl's face, and in his peach blossom eyes, there were layers of gentle spring water. He bent his head, and kissed the young girl's lips hard. I want to kiss you, I've thought about it for a long time. His lips were domineering and boiling hot. That kind of overbearingness could not be resisted. Chapter 4406. Dmo Xian was unable to use words to describe his current feelings. His stomach was filled with joy, and satisfaction. It almost made his body and mind burst apart. In this world, only his little Luo, was able to stir up his emotions. No one knew. After he and Yi Qing Luo finally established a connection. Haven't had time to walk to her side. He heard her exclamation of Zhu Wu Xian ringing beside his ear. That tone was obviously different from usual. He anxiously wanted to ask Yi Qing Luo what exactly had happened. But the connection between the two of them suddenly was cut off. At that time, just how chaotic and anxious was his heart. No one knew. The moment he thought that something might happen to Yi Qing Luo, the viciousness and rage in his heart kept on surging. He had no way to control his thoughts. Even before, if Yi Qing Luo was hurt in the slightest, he wanted the entire world to be buried with her. This kind of thinking. Luckily, she was fine. His little Luo, was fine. Otherwise, he really didn't know what he would do. Dmo Xian hugged the young lady in his arms tightly. The passionate kiss almost swallowed the young lady into his stomach. From this kiss, Yi Qing Luo could deeply feel the man's longing for her, his concern for her, the importance he placed on her, so many emotions. She could feel it clearly. The two's warmth and sweetness. It fell into the eyes of the hall master who was sent flying not too far away. He gazed deeply at this beautiful scene in front of him. For a long time, he was unable to shift his eyes away. After a long time. Only then did he slowly put his hand on his waist and abdomen. There was a long jade pendant hanging from his loose waist. Qin Yi swayed back and forth as he chuckled mockingly. You've heard it too. Their relationship is one that no one can interfere with. Only standing by the side to watch this scene. The hall master felt that his heart was being tugged by some kind of emotion, with a shocking feeling. In the world of those two, there was no place for a third person to exist. It was no wonder. No matter what, Yi Qing Luo would not take another look at Zhu Wu Xian. All of her gentleness and the sweetness that belonged to a little girl were only given to that one man. Meanwhile, far away in a room in the courtyard, his entire body was in so much pain that he broke out in a cold sweat. His face was as pale as a sheet as he cowered in the corner of the room. He raised a hand and covered his eyes. He tried to hide the pain in his eyes. At this moment, a slender figure quietly entered the room. Step by step, he stood in front of the man. It was completely silent. What are you doing here? Zhu Wuxin did not move his hand away, nor did he look at anyone. His voice was cold and emotionless. The slender figure slowly walked to his side. If I didn't come, were you planning to kill yourself here, and then, make her feel guilty towards you? The woman's voice was clear and sweet. Zhu Wuxin still didn't move. Scram. The slender figure seemed to be used to Zhu Wuxin's coldness. She reached out and held Zhu Wuxin's arm. As soon as it touched him, Zhu Wuxin shook him off forcefully. The woman lost her balance as she fell onto the ground. Zhu Wuxin leaned against the wall as an eerily cold intent filled his eyes. I asked you to scram. The woman slowly got up from the ground. She didn't even pat the dust off her body as she walked to Zhu Wuxin's side without any change in expression as she continued to support him. Chapter 4407. Zhu Wuxin, just give up. The woman's voice was indifferent and calm. No matter how you torture yourself, she won't feel any guilt towards you. What you're doing is just in vain. As her voice faded away, the man's hand directly intercepted her outstretched hand. Zhu Wuxin looked coldly at the woman in front of him. The woman was dressed in a long gown that was flamboyant and eye-catching. The most eye-catching thing was the red embroidery on her gown, which spread out like flowers blooming in blood. Her delicate and beautiful face was pure and beautiful. But there was a hint of disdain in her eyes. Her expression was very indifferent. When she met Zhu Wuxin's eyes, there was not much change in her expression. Zhu Wuxin. She spoke again. Di Zun has already broken your barrier. Are you sure you can still keep her in your current state? Zhu Wuxin's eyes were ice cold. They were as deep as a bottomless pool. The woman did not say anything more and continued to support him. Zhu Wuxin's face froze slightly, and the frost on his face became even colder. But, this time, he did not shake off the woman again. He let the woman help him up. His hand rested on her delicate shoulder, and all the weight of his body pressed on the woman. The woman's delicate body swayed slightly. But she still forced herself to carry Zhu Wuxin to the bedside. Don't put me on her bed. Zhu Wuxin held the woman's arm tightly. She wouldn't like it. When he lowered his eyes seemed to be shrouded by a black fog. The woman pursed her lips, took a deep breath, and supported him out of the room. The place below Zhu Wuxin's lower abdomen hurt more and more as he walked. Cold sweat slid down and dripped on his eyelashes. His ice-cold eyes were blurred. In a trance, the voice that was transmitted into his ears through the jade pendant of the temple master as a medium was still echoing in his ears. No one can intervene in their relationship. No one can intervene in their relationship. No one can intervene in their relationship. No one. But, he couldn't accept it. That girl should have belonged to him. He was the one who first met her. The black mist surging in Zhu Wuxian's eyes became even more rampant. The other side. Dmo Xian carried Yiqing Luo in his arms. Let's go. Yiqing Luo looped her arms around his neck and nodded smilingly. I've suddenly disappeared for so many days, everyone must be worried about me. Cough, a light cough came from the side. The palace lord stood up shakily from the ruins. As he patted off the dust on his body, he raised his head and looked at Yiqing Luo. Both of you. This lovey-dovey act, isn't it a little too much? His loose robe already had several holes in it. He was in a sorry state. Dmo Xian indifferently shot a glance at the palace lord. The imposing glare between his brows made one feel pressured. Do you think that you can stop this lord? Of course I won't seek my own death. The palace lord raised his sleeve and wiped off the blood on the corner of his lips. But, I don't want you to leave so easily. Yiqing Luo shifted her vision towards the direction of the palace lord. The man's handsome face was pale. The corners of his lips were stained with blood, but it couldn't hide the whiteness of his lips. Apparently, the injury from Dmo Xian's strike earlier wasn't light. Chapter 4408. But, even so, he still stabilized his figure and blocked in front of the both of them. Move aside. Dmo Xian lost his patience as his eyes turned sinister. Hall Master gathered his loose robe. The Overlord is here personally, so I naturally can't stop you. But Yi Qing Luo. Before he could finish his words, an item was shot towards his face. The Hall Master subconsciously caught the item. He opened his hand to take a look. It was a medicine bottle. The icy cold touch was emitting a faint medicinal fragrance. I've passed the item to you, don't block the way. Yi Qing Luo adjusted her position in Dmo Xian's arms. Her long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly, and there was even a hint of mockery in them. I say, you've really fallen for Zhu Wu Xian, haven't you? For Zhu Wu Xian, you can even throw away your life. Yi Qing Luo expressed that she really saw from Hall Master and Zhu Wu Xian something which made her Fujoshi soul burn. So she couldn't be blamed for thinking in this way. Hall Master fixed his eyes on the medicine bottle in his palm. This is the antidote? Yi Qing Luo shrugged. You can choose not to believe. Dmo Xian carried her as he walked past Hall Master. Hall Master stared at the medicine bottle in his hand as though he was hesitating, but he didn't stop them from leaving. After walking for a distance, Hall Master suddenly tightened the medicine bottle as he raised his head and looked towards the direction where Dmo Xian and Yi Qing Luo had left. Coincidentally, the young lady was hooking the man's neck as she patted his head, indicating for him to stop. This action on the Overlord, it totally subverted everyone's understanding. But Dmo Xian's face didn't show any signs of displeasure. Instead, he stopped in his tracks as he held the young lady's hand, which was pressed on his head. His gaze was gentle and affectionate. Everyone could see that. How much importance did the Overlord place on Yi Qing Luo? No wonder Yi Qing Luo would fall deeply into the Overlord and not choose Zhu Wu Xian. Hall Master swallowed back the words which were at the tip of his tongue. But that young lady who happened to meet his eyes slightly raised her red lips as her smile was extremely cold. Help me pass a message to Zhu Wu Xian. Her voice was clear and cold. There weren't many emotions in it. I will remember what he did clearly. He won't have another chance. His words fell. A gust of wind blew over. The two figures in front of him had already disappeared. The Temple Master grabbed the bottle and took 2 steps forward. What do you mean by that? What next chance? Archer. A familiar voice suddenly sounded behind him. The Palace Master's body suddenly stiffened. The expression on his face changed several times. Finally, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He slowly turned around and said, Qing Bing, why are you? He stopped talking when he saw the person behind him. His gaze fell on the man beside the woman, who was in so much pain that he was covered in cold sweat. Zhu Wuxin, what the hell are you doing? The Temple Master was so angry that he rushed forward and grabbed Zhu Wuxin from the woman's hands. Zhu Wuxin grabbed his arm tightly, his cold eyes searching around. Where is she? Where is she? You still have the mood to ask her. The Temple Master clenched his teeth as he opened the bottle. Don't you know your own situation? I asked you to rest in your room, but can't you just listen to me? Are you going to torture yourself until you're crippled before you're satisfied? This book came from Chapter 4409. The Temple Master poured out an elixir and wanted to feed it to him. But his wrist was firmly held by Zhu Wuxin. Where is she? Where is she? His grip was extremely strong. The Temple Master's hand was shaken and he almost dropped the bottle on the ground. His eyes suddenly darkened, and his face turned ashen and ugly. He suddenly stood up and shook off Zhu Wuxin's hand. Where is she? Where is she? Do you only know how to ask where she is? Do you know why I'm here? I'm worried about you and care about you. That's why I came here from so far away. I don't want to see you torture yourself here. You want to know where she is, don't you? Let me tell you, she left with Di Zun. She left with Di Zun. She left without any hesitation and without any hesitation. The temple master bellowed angrily. He grabbed the jade pendant at his waist and threw it heavily on Zhu Wuxin. You heard what she asked me to tell you with your own ears, didn't you? Do you need me to repeat it? The jade pendant hit Zhu Wuxin's body. Pushed by the temple master, Zhu Wuxin staggered and fell to the ground even with the help of the woman. The jade pendant hit him. Zhu Wuxin's cold eyes slightly shrank. But he still said nothing. The temple master clenched his fists, raised his head slightly, and took a deep breath. He tried his best to control his emotions. Then, he stared at Zhu Wuxin and said word by word, she said that she will remember clearly what you have done. You won't have a second chance. His every word caused Zhu Wuxin's body to tense up even more. A gloomy aura emanated from Zhu Wuxin's body. The surrounding air seemed to have solidified. The palace master did not stop speaking because of Zhu Wuxian's silent protest. Zhu Wuxian, you should know better than anyone else what her words mean. The only person she could see and keep in her heart was the venerable sovereign. Is it useful to torture yourself? Is it useful? Archer. When the woman heard the palace master's words, which were getting more and more out of control, she immediately frowned and snapped at him. The palace master's body suddenly stiffened. His gaze, which was filled with pain and anger, slowly landed on the woman. The woman pursed her red lips and opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something. However, when he glanced sideways at Zhu Wuxin, he pursed his lips. The palace master shut his eyes tightly and raised his hand high. He wanted to throw the medicine bottle at Zhu Wuxin. But when he was about to fling it out, he gritted his teeth and retracted his strength, throwing it at Zhu Wuxin just like that. The medicine bottle rolled and rolled to Zhu Wuxin's feet. The hall master turned around and said in a tense tone, "It's up to you whether you want to live or die. I don't care anymore." After saying that, he flicked his sleeve and disappeared before their eyes. Archer. The young woman called out anxiously. However, before she could do anything, his aura was completely gone. The woman felt helpless. She looked at the pale man beside her, whose face was filled with pain. She sighed as she slowly picked up the medicine bottle. Her exquisite face was filled with complicated emotions. Wuxin. The woman poured out the last pill from the bottle and placed it by Zhu Wuxin's mouth as she spoke softly. Archer cares about you too much. He's angry, not because you like Yi Qing Luo, but because he can't take it anymore. You hurt yourself because of a woman. The pill was placed by his lips, but Zhu Wuxin didn't open his mouth. There was no expression on his face. His gaze was slightly dazed. This book came from Chapter 44:10. The lady's fingers which were holding onto the pill tightened as her slender fingers turned slightly white. Ah Che he cares about you more than anyone else. You should know this better than anyone else. Zhu Wuxian finally had a little reaction. His eyelashes trembled slightly. He slowly raised his head and looked at the lady. The lady hurriedly moved that pill to his lips. Don't let the people who still care about you worry about you. You being in this state, we will all be very upset. The woman's face was slowly reflected in Zhu Wuxin's cold eyes. He opened his mouth and swallowed that pill into his stomach. The lady heaved a sigh of relief and continued, "Don't be too sad. That person gave you the antidote, which means that he can't bear to really hurt you." Zhu Wuxian's eyelashes trembled even more. His eyes were fixed on the woman without blinking. The lady smiled slightly. After your body has recovered, go look for Ah Che. Now that the Overlord has already come to Heaven Realm, in this state of yours, how are you going to fight with the Overlord, right? Dmo Xian. Zhu Wuxian's thin lips pursed slightly. He muttered these 3 words softly. Suddenly, he struggled free from the lady's support as he staggered as he stood up. No. Yi Qing Luo cannot leave this place. Zhu Wuxian. The lady's suppressed emotions finally couldn't hold it in any longer. How much longer are you going to create a ruckus for? Have you really never thought about us? Chu Wu Xian clenched his fists tightly as his expression was gloomy and gloomy. The black fog in his eyes started to spread. The rankings are about to begin. She must stay here. I cannot let anything happen to her. Chu Wu Xian's voice and the fluctuation of his emotions was extremely huge. His words had just ended. He had already dashed towards the direction where Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had disappeared to. When he passed by the lady, his body collided heavily with the lady's shoulder. But he didn't turn back. The lady staggered backwards from the impact. After she finally stabilized herself, she slowly raised her head and looked at the man who was swaying but still forcing himself to move forward. She took a step forward, wanting to chase after him. But after taking a step, she stopped. Unknowingly, her eyes started to blur. Why? He would never be able to see her existence. Outside the Tianya Ridge, the group of people waited anxiously for the return of the Overlord. Time passed slowly. 2 hours, 4 hours, the more time passed, the higher everyone's heart was. Especially in the Tianya Ridge, there was not the slightest fluctuation. It was impossible to guess what the Overlord had encountered in there. Kitty Lee paced around anxiously. Why hasn't Dizun brother-in-law come out yet? Did he find his sister? Can't we go in and look for Dizun brother-in-law? Zhou Mo pulled Kitty Lee into his arms and comforted her gently. Believe in Dizun. Let's wait a little longer. If Dizun doesn't come out in an hour, Wu and I will go in and take a look. You. Kitty Lee quickly grabbed Zhou Mo's collar and raised her head. I don't want you to go in. Zhou Mo chuckled and kissed her forehead. It's okay. Don't worry. Right. She will definitely be fine. The Overlord is so incredible and our Qing Luo. She herself is a miracle, so nothing will happen to her. Yan Xiao Yi used a certain tone to reply. But the way she gripped Xiao Jin's arm tightly betrayed the anxiety in her heart. This book came from Chapter 44:11. Don't let your imagination run wild. Huang Fuxing raised his voice to cheer everyone up. Luo can bring us miracles one after another, so no matter when, as long as you are by her side, there will definitely be miracles. Their Yiqing Luo, their faith. Absolutely undefeatable. The few of them looked at each other, conveying the determination in their hearts to the other party. Just at this moment, Gue Wu, who was leaning against the tree trunk with his eyes closed, suddenly moved and landed in front of everyone. His expression was solemn as he stared ahead. Who's there? Gue Wu's words made everyone's emotions congealed. Zhou Mo swiftly stuffed Kitty Lee behind his back as he looked ahead vigilantly. Swish, 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 in the dense forest, suddenly countless sharp arrows were shot from all directions. The speed was fast and the momentum was violent. It was extremely shocking. What? Their reaction speed was extremely fast. When Gue Wu opened his mouth, everyone quickly switched to defensive mode. When the sharp arrows were shot down, everyone had already raised the weapons in their hands and slashed out all the sharp arrows. At this moment, Gue Wu also quickly formed an enchantment, enveloping everyone within it. There was still no sign of anyone in the surroundings. But thousands of sharp arrows were still shooting over. Bam! The sharp arrows were flickering with cold silver light as they heavily crashed onto the enchantment. 2 waves of qi collided, giving off a sharp ear-piercing sound. The sudden explosion of the profound waves set off layers upon layers of flying sand waves in the lush dense forest. What's that? What's going on? The group of people looked around with a grave expression, trying to find traces of someone. And at the same time, in the midst of the flying sand, everyone saw that a huge crack had suddenly appeared in the horizon. Immediately following that, they saw people dressed in black robes, neatly walking out from that gap. Their pupils shrank immediately. Secluded palace. These people in front of them. Weren't they dressed in the secluded palace's attire? How did this group of monsters come to the heaven realm? And even followed them to Tianya Ridge? That patch of black-robed people, about 100 of them walked out. The gap in the sky slowly closed up. Is it a miracle? A charming voice was exceptionally obvious in this quiet and tense atmosphere. Then, the black-robed man, who had wrapped himself up tightly, slowly opened up a path. A fairy-like young woman in a long white dress walked over with a flirtatious demeanor. The woman covered her red lips sweetly. Her voice was so soft that it could make one's bones go numb. She will have a miracle, but, do you think that you will have a miracle? Everyone's faces turned cold and they quickly gathered together, looking at the woman nervously. Yan Xiaoyi stared at the woman and sized her up. After a long while, a figure suddenly appeared in her mind. You are Bai Mei? This grace was too obvious. However, that face was obviously different from the Bai Mei in his memory. Bai Mei should be in her 30s or 40s. How could he be so young? The woman giggled and touched her face charmingly. I didn't expect that someone would recognize me. But, even if you recognize me, there's no reward. It's really you. Yan Xiaoyi's expression sunk. You actually joined the secluded palace? What do you want to do? Of course I want to kill you all. Bai Mei's brows were filled with smiles. I really want to see Yi Qing Luo's flustered expression. Hurry up and read the latest update. Download address, phone reading. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.